Hey folks, welcome back to Only Best Fantasy Novels. My name is Robin, and today I'm very excited to talk about A Throne Betrayed, the first book in a brand new arc in the Legends of the Five Rings shared world fiction universe, whatever you want to call it. And this kicks off the Clan Wars, which is an event I've been very excited for these books to get up to. They've been building towards it a while. I like based on the stuff sent out in the newsletter, they have some very exciting things planned. And based on what I saw in this book, I'm even more hyped to see how it all unfolds. So, what is this book even about? The Emerald Emperor is dead. He killed by the Scorpion clan champion. His heirs are missing, and in one fell swoop, the Emerald Empire is on the brink of civil war. And it couldn't happen at a worse time. The dread forces of Fulang in the Shadowlands are amassing in numbers never seen before, and it's taken more than the Crab Clan has to keep them at bay for as long as they can. This time around, the Crab may not be able to hold back the tide. So it's a pretty exciting setup, and this is just a banger of an intro in what it does and how it does it. First off, I wanted to mention like the two authors, J.T. Nicholas and Julie Kagawa. I've never read anything by either of them before this. I've never even heard of J.T. Nicholas before this. Julie Kagawa is pretty well known in YA circles, I think. So I guess it's no surprise. Like given her popularity, I guess it's no surprise that this actually turned out to be one of the better novels in the L5R shared world to date. So let's kind of get into what all of that is about. So with this book, we follow three main POVs, and these POVs give us a almost complete picture of the shakiness that the Empire undergoes as a result of the assassination and all of that. The first major POV that we follow is Doji Hotaru, who is the Crane Clan champion. And in the power vacuum left by the death of the Emperor, the Crane Clan kind of swooped in to kind of take the reins of Empire temporarily as regent and whatever. And through her lens in particular, we get the more political, the more intrigue, the more court-driven side of politics with this conflict. And in her case in particular, we have like we see the start of how the war start, because not everyone is happy with the Crane quickly amassing so much power to themselves in what seems almost like an arbitrary way. So, needless to say, it triggers what they were already dealing with, some border skirmishes with another clan. That clan used this as an excuse to go to all-out war, and things just escalate from there. And like, Hotaru is an interesting character to follow in that she's the consummate samurai that you can think of, but she has a human streak to her that we don't quite see from the other characters that she's surrounded with at court, at least. And the way that's presented to us is that she has a very slight romantic subplot with a character that we saw in one of the novellas in the bind-ups. We have just the way that she grapples with the concepts of like duty to clan and to empire and honor and these kind of things, and the choice that she's forced to make where it comes to this crossroad that she's facing, both as the Crane Clan champion and as loyal to the empire, basically. So like I said, her story is more like political and intrigue driven, and it really complements the other two storylines that we get, because with her we kind of see like the broad scope of where this conflict is going to head. And that being said, like this is very much a court where there are knives out. Like there's plenty of action, there's plenty of intrigue, there's plenty of violent stuff happening. Anyway, so that's the first main POV. The other major character we follow is Totori, who is the disgraced Emerald champion. He basically became disgraced when he allowed the Emperor to die on his watch, and he becomes Ronin, and as a result of that, he begins to travel the Empire. and through his character, we get a really hard look at what the loss of that guiding figurehead, no matter regardless of the level to which that figurehead actually impacted their daily lives, we see what the loss of that political stability meant for the common person, essentially. And like through his particular storyline, we see what begins to happen when the average man begins to become disillusioned with the status quo, with the way that this society works, because they're like this story is very much among the peasant class, and then above the peasant class you have like the samurai, and then above them you have like the emperor and all of that. And through his particular storyline, we begin to see what happens when the social contract gets broken to a point where the peasant class begins to expect more and want more and demand more. And what makes it interesting is that it's not just the peasant class. Like these are people who they begin to feel like their society is failing them, and the way that they begin to the way that they begin to fight against that is with a very nationalistic bent, or a very loyalist bent to the regime. So like it's a really interesting scenario, and it has a very political context to it. At the same time, like his story is very much what you would think of as the more like traditional roving samurai story. Like there's tales of revenge and like these cycles of pain that people get caught up in, and of course plenty of like pretty action-packed scenes, because he's on the ground where people are getting killed and that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's the second main POV. And then the third one, we follow Hide Yakumo, who is the son of the Crab Clan champion. And these are the guys on the borders of Rokugan who are single-handedly fending off the single-handedly keeping the forces of the Shadowlands at bay. Like they're neck deep in all-out war, basically fighting against fighting to save the rest of Rokugan from just the evil forces that are that exist on this border, and just keep trying to break through. And when they begin to face numbers that the Crab Clan simply cannot defeat on their own, Hide Yakumo goes as an emissary to the Empire to try and get resources. And of course, given this in a true act of desperation, and it's the first time something like this has happened in a generation, so it's a very critical thing to happen, and for the clans to acknowledge is happening. But at the same time, of course, when he arrives, he basically jumps into this nest of vipers that is the imperial court, especially at the time of immense upheaval following the death of the emperor and all that. So it goes pretty much how you would expect, but where the story gets some really messed up twists is, once again, we get that theme that crops up so much in Totteri's story, with just the cyclical nature of revenge and vengeance and these kind of things. It crops up in his as well. And on top of that, like his storyline is very much more focused on let's call it the more fantastical components of the story. That being said, like honestly, his POV is the least interesting of the three POVs, whereas like Doji Hotaru's was probably the most fun. And the reason why I say his own is the least favorite, Hide Yakumo's, is basically he's a competent soldier, he's a competent leader, but he nevertheless always feels like he's a constant failure. Like he always feels like inadequate and a constant failure because he's denied acknowledgement from a source that very clearly will never provide that acknowledgement under any normal circumstances. And because of that, like he comes across as very whiny, very insecure, and it's not like a really fun type of character to read about. But it just goes to show, like it's all part of this. It's all part of this thing. That being said, he does have a pretty messed up character arc in here. So it's like when I say he was like the least, he was the least fun for POV to read. in many ways that's going to be a very unpopular take with people who read this book, because he goes through some serious stuff in his book. And overall, like, this book just delivers spectacularly on exactly what I expected on. Like, we have just so much deep intrigue and mystery and suspense that happens. There's the whole mystery surrounding the trigger event, the death of the emperor, and what happened with the heirs following that. We have the coming conflict with against the forces of the Shadowlands. We have the clan wars themselves and the infighting that's going to happen, and woven through all of that, we just have the disillusionment of this social contract, essentially, of like these people who beginning to question what happens, like, what's the point of living this way when the bargain isn't honored. Like, what does the empire do for us when we do so much for the empire? That kind of thing. Like, is that any of that even worth it? So there's quite a lot going on in this book, and I hope it continues in the series. Either way, like, this arc in the Legend of the Five Rings story is going to be really well. I'm really excited to see where it goes from here. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about The Throne Betrayed. If you made it this far into the video, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.